You ever notice how the word leader gets tossed around like it's on the clearance rack at the big box store? Like everybody wants to be one, but then when it actually comes to leading, especially with confidence and clarity, it's kind of a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it's like calling yourself a chef because you microwaved that burrito that one time. And there's levels to this, and today we're diving into what it really means to lead through the COIN framework. Not just in the boardroom, but in your daily life, starting with your personal leadership, then hitting relationships, and then onto your professional world.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, if you can't lead yourself and your family or even your group chat without spiraling, then maybe don't jump into that TED Talk circuit just yet.
Yeah, but here's the good news. Confidence and clarity, they're not prerequisites. They are actual byproducts. You earn them on this leadership journey, and we're going to help you start that right now. So whether you're leading a business or just trying to get your toddler to eat their vegetables, this episode's for you.
Yeah, let's coin your leadership, let's close those gaps, and let's change the nature of everything.
Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Nature of Everything podcast with Bo and Clint, where we deep dive into the world of personal development through COIN. Confirm it, own it, be intentional, and change the nature of everything.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nature of Everything, the podcast where we discuss personal growth one conversation at a time and all through the lens of COIN. I'm Bo.
Yeah, and I'm Clint. And you know what? We're lifelong friends. We're co-creators of the COIN framework. And if you hadn't heard yet, we did it. We wrote a book. It's called Confirm It, Own It, Be Intentional, Change the Nature of Everything in Your Life.
I mean, it's a long title, but you know what? It's packed with information about the COIN framework, simple personal growth tools, and stuff that's actually helped us to become better humans. And you can find it on our website at coinyourlife.com.
Also, do us a favor, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Search COIN Your Life. We're sharing bonus content, behind the scenes insights, and even some occasional dad jokes that didn't make the cut.
All right, so let's get into today's topic, leadership. It's not just titles and corner offices. We're talking about leading your life with clarity and confidence and intention. And it's through the COIN framework, and we're going to break it down step by step, all the way from personal to professional.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you can't lead others if you're not showing up for yourself first. And by the way, leadership isn't about being in charge. It's about taking responsibility for your influence and your energy and for your own example.
Yeah, so let's start where all leadership truly begins, and it begins with you. Personal leadership is the most overlooked and underrated kind, I think. And frankly, it's the hardest because there's no applause and there's no title and there's no fancy offices. It's really just the messy business of showing up for yourself.
Yeah, you're right. And it starts with confirmation. Confirm who you are right now, not who you wish you were or who you've been pretending to be on social media. Like, get real with yourself. Like, what values are actually guiding your daily life? What standards have you just inherited along the way? Or what are the ones that you're choosing for yourself?
Yeah, and when you confirm it, you kind of strip away all that noise. And then comes ownership. And this is where you stop outsourcing your responsibility, your mornings, your health, your thoughts. You have to take ownership of all of it. Because if you're not steering the ship, you're really just floating around.
Yeah, and here's the kicker. That means not just reacting to life, but choosing how you want to show up. It might be setting a tone in your own house. It could be creating morning practices that you've wanted to put in place, or even having that difficult conversation that you've been running away from. And that conversation has to do with you, yourself, in the mirror.
And look, when you start living with intention, that's when things start to shift. That's when you stop drifting and you start directing. And finally, you change the nature of everything. When you change the nature of how you treat yourself and you shift your self-talk and you upgrade your standards, you really redefine what leadership looks like. And it starts in your own skin.
And likewise, this isn't about perfection. It's about steady progress. And personal leadership is the ultimate act of self-respect. You want to lead others? Cool. But you better start by leading yourself.
There's a quote from John Wooden. He's a legendary basketball coach. And he said, you cannot live a perfect day without doing something for someone who will never be able to repay you. And I thought about that and I thought, like, what if we flip that on ourselves and we say, like, we can't lead anyone with integrity if we don't lead ourselves with integrity first?
No, and that's it. Personal leadership, it is actually quiet. Like you mentioned earlier, like no one's clapping for you. There's no applause when you have those practices of journaling and taking care of yourself. No one applauds or cheers for you when you choose the salad over the triple bacon cheeseburger and the side milkshake, right?
But but look, these little private decisions, they layer up and they become the groundwork for more public wins. And when you're leading yourself with intention and compassion and self-awareness, it's how you become the kind of leader that people trust. And even more importantly, you become the kind of person that you trust.
Yeah, so I say start there. Confirm who you are, own what you've done or what you haven't done, but be intentional with how you show up. And then watch how you change the nature of not just your day, but your entire direction.
You know, real quick, if you're listening, take a beat and think about it. Where are you being called to lead more intentionally right now? It could be like with yourself or at home or just with your people or at work.
Yeah, and actually, I think that question, Bo, can unlock an awful lot. And I say this, if you need some help unpacking some of this stuff, by all means, download the Coin Daily Check-in on our website. It's a quick, powerful way to just pause and get clear-headed.
Yeah, so let's zoom in a little now. Personal leadership lays the foundation, but what about those people that are closest to us? Like leadership within our family, like your spouse, your parents, your kids, siblings. That's really where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah, and realistically, I mean, you think about it, these are the ones that see all your flaws. You can't fake your way through family leadership. I mean, if you've ever tried to teach your kid a life lesson, like while eating ice cream straight from the carton, I mean, you get it. You know what I'm saying?
And look, honestly, this part's hard for us too, right? It's way easier to write a to-do list than it is to be fully present with your partner after a long day. And it's easier to correct a kid than to connect with one. And we're figuring this out just like you are.
Yeah, but that's why Coin helps. I mean, confirmation in this space, it looks like asking that, am I showing up in a way that reflects who I want to be with my own family? Or am I somehow like running on default mode, like snapping and scrolling and reacting? And I mean, just being messy.
Yeah, I mean, and owning it means saying, yeah, I blew it earlier, or I wasn't really listening. And instead of just justifying, actually circling back and doing it better. That level of ownership creates trust, even when you mess it up.
Yeah, sure. Intentionality. It might be something as simple as putting the phone down at dinner, or it could be, making sure that you're showing up and demonstrating as though you're calm, even though that's not what you're feeling inside. I do think that Coin gives us that filter. I don't know, would you say course correct? It gives us the ability to course correct.
Yeah, I think it does. And look, changing the nature doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes it's shifting the tone, like you're saying, at home from tense to thoughtful, or modeling vulnerability so that your kids know that strength doesn't mean
Absolutely. And at home, leadership, it's love in motion. And look, we don't always get it right. It's not that, but we believe that practicing Coin within our own family dynamic, it does ground us more. It allows us to be more graceful and I would say even more human.
So if family leadership feels messy to you, really same here. You're not behind, you're in the thick of it with us. And Coin helps you to keep showing up anyway. And so let's shift over to friends. Like this one looks a little bit different. It's not about directing or managing anyone. It's more about influence and presence. Like you're not trying to lead your friends like a coach. You're walking with them and sometimes offering guidance and sometimes just showing up.
Right. This kind of leadership, I don't think it's about having all the right answers. I think it's about being someone that others feel safe enough to wrestle out the questions with you. It's about showing up with openness and compassion, both for your people and your friends, and as much for yourself, really.
Yeah, and Coin helps us here because it gives you a rhythm to come back to. It gives you that framework. You confirm who you are in the friendship. You ask, Are you being honest? Are you being available? Are you living your values even when no one's calling you out?
Yeah, and owning it may mean taking responsibility when you've even ghosted them or, dropped the ball or spoken too sharply. I mean, we've all been there, and owning it doesn't mean beating yourself up. It just means not ignoring the impact, even if it's a season.
Yeah, intentionality here is really subtle, but it's very powerful. It could look like making time or just checking in or knowing when to speak and sometimes when to just sit down in silence and listen.
Sure. And changing the nature, it might be as simple as deepening the relationship with, I don't know, one good conversation, really. Maybe it's just being a little more real or creating that space where your friends can even do that in return. They can do the same if that space is created.
And I know for me, I always say that my very best friends are the people who just let me be me,
Sure.
right?
100%.
I mean, it's not the kind of leadership that chases applause. It values authenticity over authority. It's influence through integrity. It's not about control.
And hey, you and I, we're not perfect friends. We also miss stuff and we get in our own heads. But when we use coin, we always come back to the place that keeps us grounded and it keeps us growing, like even through all the messy stuff.
So if you've ever wondered how to be a better friend without turning into a life coach, you start with coin. You confirm it and you own it and you act with intention so that you can change the nature of that friendship. And let's step into the workplace. Leadership here often gets confused with status, like your job title and what floor your office is on or performance reviews. But leadership in a professional setting it's more about culture than it is control.
Yeah. And some of the best leaders we've ever worked with, they're not the loudest and they're not even necessarily the most senior. They were the ones who like created that trust and they made you feel seen. Realistically, you know what? They followed through consistently.
And let's be honest, we've all had that boss that led popping into your inbox at 5:02 p.m. on a Friday with, hey, just a quick thing I need you to do. That's not leadership. That's trauma.
I agree because real leadership, as we said, it starts with confirming, and what kind of culture are you reinforcing? Like, is it intentional? Is there intentionality there or no? I mean, are you adding clarity or are you creating the storms of confusion? Like, realistically, are you the thermostat or are you the thermometer?
Look, that's right. And John Maxwell said it best. He said, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. But if you're sprinting ahead without checking the map or with your team, who exactly are you leading?
Yeah. And that's that ownership piece as well. Ownership in the workplace, it means taking the full responsibility for how you show up. If you've ever slammed your laptop shut and muttered, I'm surrounded by idiots, they're all stupid. Like, maybe it's time you own your part of that dynamic.
I'm just going to be quiet for a minute because I'm guilty.
That didn't feel good, right?
No. Being intentional, it might mean it shifts how you run the meetings. Like, are you talking at people or are you talking with people? Are you making decisions that are aligned with your values or are you just trying to please the people above you?
Yeah, because realistically, changing the nature of professional leadership, man, it can be quiet, but it can absolutely be radical. It might be choosing transparency over some weird power game, asking for feedback when it's uncomfortable and you don't know what the feedback's going to be when you ask for it. Sometimes you got to promote the person who deserves it, and it's not the one that you feel the most comfortable with or schmoozes the office best,
One of our favorite leadership quotes is from Simon Sinek. He says, leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. So if your team is constantly walking on eggshells, they're not being led. They're just surviving, dealing with you.
Yeah. And, realistically, leadership is learned because I don't really know anybody that's just simply born knowing how to manage humans and realistically understanding true deadlines and that notifications and their own like all of these things that are working in conjunction. Like, coin can help with that, because it gives you a rhythm. It gives you the ability to return when the pressure's really on.
Yeah, you confirm your impact. You own your culture that you're helping create, I hope. You become intentional with your influence, and that's going to change the nature of what leadership feels like for the people around you.
Yeah, and again, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be accountable. And that's how you move from doing your job, as it were, to actually making a difference, I think.
And if you can still do that while you remember everybody's birthday and you bring snacks to meetings, then you might be a legend.
The quote from Simon Sinek, leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those that are in your charge. One of the things that I've heard it also said, make sure that you care about the people that you lead more than you care about being the leader. And I think that goes a long way with, really establishing the integrity behind your intentionality.
Yeah. And you know what I love about that is that it's really for everybody. Leadership is not just for CEOs and the C-suite folks. It's not just motivational posters. It's a lot less about shouting orders, and it's a lot more about how you show up when nobody's watching. And that works for everybody.
Certainly. Yeah. And leadership through Coin, it's really about being decent and a grounded human. You want a game plan, confirm who you are, own your mess, but, own your magic too. Own what you're adept at. Be intentional, even if you're hangry, and at the end, like, change the nature of the spaces that you touch. Like even the weird stuff, even the oddball things that you end up catching as a leader.
Yeah. And look, whether you're trying to guide a team or raise a kid or just get yourself out the door without losing your keys or your cool, like, Coin can give you something to lean on. It is a practice. It's a structure to reflect and to hold yourself accountable and to stay on course.
And look, it feels like a lot. And oftentimes it is a lot. But you know what? Welcome to the club. Being in a leadership position isn't about getting it all right. It's about not shirking your responsibility and your own growth. It's a practice. It's like yoga or journaling or learning not to reply per my last email, per your request. I mean, when you're all fired up and you want that cold, feeling, like, you need to step back and coin that out and be the leader that doesn't reply in that manner.
And look, practice, it's not glamorous. It's showing up on the days that you feel off. It's choosing curiosity over judgment. And it's remembering that the Coin framework is cyclical. You're going to keep coming back to it, back through confirm it, back through own it, and being intentional. And you're going to change the nature of everything, and you're going to repeat it over and over again.
Yeah, that's the rhythm that helps you course correct, as it were, and without shame. I don't know. It's kind of like a GPS for your character and for your integrity. You don't beat yourself up when you miss a turn. Just simply reroute.
Yeah. Look, so wherever you are right now in life, in leadership and energy, start there. Like, take the next right step, not the perfect step, the next step.
Yeah. Confidence and clarity, it's going to come with that. You simply have to keep showing up. That's the real move. That's the next step. And remember, it's called practice, because we're all still just figuring it out.
Yeah, so go lead your life like you meant it. Laugh a little bit, learn a lot, and don't forget to hydrate.
And definitely follow us at Coin Your Life. If you haven't grabbed the book yet, please do so. It's got more stories and tools and probably fewer typos than this particular episode.
And look, if this episode struck a chord with you, like, send it to a friend and a friend that you would actually want in your crew with you. We all lead a better life when we're growing together.
Yeah, and until next time, be real, be intentional, and as always, lead with love.
I totally dig it.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to check out coinyourlife.com and find us on social media.